to the One of the Family podcast by Blue Circle Cement. On this episode, we're joined by Rob from Solon Garden Services and Curtis from Mission Landscapes to talk about landscaping trends for 2021. Also on this episode, there's a hidden question. All you have to do is submit your answer to the question via the landing page link below to win a day trip for the whole family to enjoy. So keep listening and enjoy the episode. Thanks, Curtis and Rob, for joining me on the One of the Family podcast. And today we're going to be talking about landscaping trends for 2021. So I just want to ask you both to start off. Is there any current trends that you're seeing so far this year?
I definitely think porcelain and composite decking are like making a massive impact. We're doing a lot of them now compared to last year.
Yeah. What did you kind of see as the trends last year? What was the most popular kind of requests?
Mainly sandstone and timber decking, to be honest. I think people are now spending a lot more money on investing in their property, in their garden, now that they're spending a lot more time at home.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think porcelain, composite decking and artificial lawns. Artificial lawns are like a massive... So I get so many inquiries for artificial lawns because obviously people are spending more time at home. They want to enjoy their garden and they don't necessarily want to have to maintain it as much as they would a real lawn.
Yeah, do you think that is one of the factors with these trends is like it's less maintenance?
Oh, definitely. That's a big... I think that everyone wants to enjoy the gardens now without necessarily having to put as much work into looking after them.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things you do see a lot on social media is the porcelain paving. Is it quite tricky to do?
It definitely takes longer than standard sandstone because it has got to be millimetre paving and cutting them is a longer process. But the finish, I think, speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it definitely gives that the feeling of like the indoor-outdoor living?
Yeah, definitely, because a lot of the time you can match it with what they have in their kitchen, especially most people have bifolds nowadays, and you really can get it to flow, which, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, it definitely looks really, really nice. Do you both see porcelain paving as something that's going to be sticking around?
I think so, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. It's massive. It's massive now, and the range is... like every supplier now has got such a vast range of colours and styles. Although most of the gardens we do is grey, most people want grey, but there is a massive variation in the different styles and colours.
Yeah, definitely. Grey is definitely, even for indoor, like home interior and stuff, has got very popular. Do you see like trends around like concrete and stuff? Like you see like the concrete planters and stuff? Have you seen much of that?
Most of the stuff that we do planter-wise now is either being cladded or rendered, but concrete-wise, not much.
No, I would say as well, and kind of corten steel, kind of that kind of look as well, is really, really popular, I would say, for planters and cladding walls and stuff. Yeah.
How did the pandemic affect the industry like last year, and was there any changes that you've noticed?
There's definitely been a huge increase in workloads, inquiries. Definitely. It's definitely gone crazy. We've gone from kind of one team to two or three teams out at once, which is like a massive increase for us.
And is that increase is it showing no signs of stopping?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. We're booking right through the year now. We're still taking more on, but booking well through this year, which is normally I think average was 6-7 months lead time. But now it's a 1 year plus, which is nice to know that you've got the work lined up as well. I just don't know if it's going to continue. I don't know if when people can start going away again, whether they're going to start cancelling or putting their money elsewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And that was something you were saying as well, Rob. You are out quoting like every day. You've got like a lot going on each week. Do you have that kind of fear that once things start opening up, hopefully in the summertime, that people might start cancelling and things might get quieter?
I mean, I don't know about you, Curtis, but last year I was really frustrated because I've never turned so much work down in my life, but you can't obviously do it all. And like people are phoning up now, I couldn't even get to look at a lot of the jobs last year. So like we're similar. We've got a couple of new faces on as well this year to kind of go with the amount of work that's coming in. But it is something that's always in the back of your mind. Obviously, you're taking people on, and you think to yourself, okay, it's good this summer, and the work's coming in, and you just hope that it maintains and it carries on when people can go back to some sort of normality. Are they still going to be spending the money on their gardens? I think they probably will. Hopefully, I hope so anyway. But I think they probably will. I think people are probably realising now actually how much they use their garden. I think if they get in that habit of using their garden, hopefully they'll continue.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think people with like smaller gardens, like what advice would you give them to like make the use of their smaller gardens? Especially if like they want to make the space like feel a wee bit larger.
I mean, you just got to make it work for you. Whatever you want from your garden. If if you're busy people and you don't want to be gardening as such, you don't want to be doing mowing the lawn or doing so much weeding and cutting back of things, then there's so many, like we said, there's so many products out there now to give you a more of a low maintenance garden, so you can spend more time enjoying it rather than looking after it. I think that's really just a case of trying to make a garden that suits your lifestyle. If you're not a gardener, you don't really want to be kind of putting together a high maintenance garden.
Yeah, definitely. With the trends, do you think there's any like pros and cons with them? Like, do you think like they'll kind of go out of fashion, or people will maybe not like them after like a few years?
Most of the stuff now, the trends, I think it's kind of going to last for a long, long time. Especially, it's quite I don't know, I think like the years are going on, stuff's getting more simple, like the porcelain's more simpler design, the artificial grass. Most people are having that more simple look, which is definitely, so I don't feel that it will ever go out of fashion. Well, not too soon. But yeah, I don't think the fashion will outlive the job as such.
As a thank you to all our listeners, Blue Circle products are giving away a family day out for one lucky winner. All you have to do is answer the following question: what Blue Circle product is used for putting up post? Submit your answer in the link below to enter, and the lucky winner will be contacted on email. How do you spot the trends? Is it something that like the customer comes to you with, or is it something you spot on Instagram, or is it the merchants that are maybe like recommending certain materials?
Yeah, I think the suppliers play a massive part in it. With the recommendations for their new products out, they seem to be really on top of it all. But yeah, customers definitely are also looking online, Facebook. A lot of them use that Pinterest to see, and they show you pictures. That's definitely getting easier when you go to a quote. They've definitely got a lot more information, a lot more pictures and ideas that they want, as opposed to a couple of years ago, they kind of, this is the space, what do you think? It's making that side of it easier. But I think that's purely because I feel the gardens are definitely getting a lot more simple in their design because the products are better.
Yeah, definitely. What's your thoughts on it, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I think customers are a lot more clued up a lot more now on what they want. Again, it's like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. So you go and look at a job, and they're more forthcoming in saying like, this is the look we want. This is, I mean, a lot of the times on Pinterest and things like that, it's not always kind of practical to actually build a lot of the things they show you. And budget as well comes into it. But yeah, customers are a lot more clued up now on what they want, which is good. I'd always rather work for people who know what they want than when you kind of look at a job where you're working with people and it's a bit vague and they're not too sure. I think it's a bit easier when they know what they want. And I say suppliers now, there's so many products out there. And even sort of like your bulk standard builder's merchant now has got a range of paving or composite decking that's not, it's a higher range now.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think there's any do you prefer working that way with like the customers coming to you with the ideas rather than having to suggest something?
Well, sometimes, I mean, it really depends on the customer, really. I mean, you can work for people who are really open-minded, and you can give them suggestions, and they really kind of take it on board, and you can make suggestions as to, what you think would be good for their garden. And other times, people have got a really good idea. They know exactly what they want, and then it's just a case you're just there really just to bring it together.
Mm-hmm, definitely. In terms of like, how do you learn how to do certain like the trends? Like, how do you pick up how to do porcelain paving? Is it something that you use like trial and error, or is it something you can do like a training course for?
I think all, like for example, porcelain slabs, I think they all kind of lay the same. It's just kind of adapting slightly to make it easier. But I think you just, for example, the first one we did, I just allowed a bit more time, took it a bit slower, and kind of went with it. You're not necessarily making as much money on the project as you would normally make, but once you've got it, I feel like you start riding a bike, you don't really lose it. It's always there.
Definitely. What about you, Rob? Is it the same situation?
I'm not always the one like hands-on physically doing it. So for some of the newer products and stuff, we've actually put people on kind of 1-day city and guild courses so that we can kind of know that it's being done properly. But I agree with what you're saying. You do have to take those first few. Okay, you might not make so much money out of it. Just take your time, get it right, and then, like I said, the more you do, the more you kind of you learn how to get into the flow of doing it. You kind of know the knack. You get the knack, and you can pretty much do it. Kind of, as you say, riding the bike. You once you've got the knack of it, you've got it then.
Yeah, and do you think like posting like your images and stuff like that of like more trend pieces probably gets you more work like through social media?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of work now comes through social media. Just seeing the finished products, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, definitely. You see like a lot of landscapers on Instagram nowadays with like all the photos on it. So, Rob, is there any pros or cons of using porcelain?
Yeah, like with every sort of product, there's pros and cons. I think there's probably more pros to using porcelain than there are cons. I think the only kind of the big con, not the bigger sort of downside of porcelain is obviously it's an expensive product. If you buy a good quality porcelain, it's not cheap. In terms of the laying process, is maybe a little bit more time consuming. So maybe is it the process of installing it is a bit more expensive than like a sandstone or a limestone.
Definitely. And where do you think like budget comes into play like for the customers whenever it comes to like these more trend driven pieces? Because they like tend to probably be a bit more expensive.
I think a lot of customers now are quite clued up on the cost of materials. Obviously, everyone's got a budget. No matter who you're working for, everyone's got a budget. I think they've probably got a good idea. When people come looking for porcelain, I think they've got a pretty good idea that it's a bit more expensive than sort of sandstone or limestone. And like anything, you're always going to look at jobs, and people don't have the first idea how much it's going to cost, so you're going to work with that. I don't know about Curtis, but I find it a bit awkward. You kind of say to people like, "What's your budget?" People are kind of a bit standoffish.
Yeah.
For some reason, they don't want to kind of tell you what their budget is. If someone says, "I've got $5,000 to spend," and you're going to say, "Oh, it's $5,000." That's something I'll try and. Some people will not tell you, and other people are like, "Right, this is our budget." Do you know what I mean? Do you find that?
Yeah, and I think it massively helps though to get that idea from them, because it helps you advise them which way to go, which product, how far they can go. Yeah, and I suppose I don't know how many people would just take their budget and that's what they charge them. I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably a difficult question to ask.
It is, but for some reason, it's just like I don't know. It's just people don't. It's like it's in us that we're workmen come around or someone comes around to quote a job for you. Or you don't tell them how much you want to spend. You're waiting to get their quote back, but then they'll give you a list of materials or sort of thing they want, and they'll be like, "Oh no, that's way over our budget." When you think to yourself, "Well, actually, maybe we should have had that conversation to start with." Do you know what I mean? It's a funny one. it would make everyone's life a lot easier if everyone just said, right, this is how much I've got to spend. What can you do?
Yeah, definitely 100%. But yeah, do you think there's anything else like suppliers could do to help educate maybe landscapers, like maybe then people that are a wee bit scared to try new trends, to like educate them so they feel a wee bit more confident in using the products?
I don't know really, but yeah, probably a bit more information given to the customers would be handy. Yeah, and I think more information on the cost of stuff, because normally the lower maintenance stuff, like your porcelain artificial grass, obviously costs more, and they don't always realise that. They think they're having it quite a simple, low maintenance garden, but normally they're the more expensive options to have it installed. But it's obviously then you haven't got any maintenance costs then, so long term it probably is not much difference.
Yeah, definitely they're saving money in the long term. What about you, Rob? Do you think there's anything else the suppliers could do?
Yeah, I think we're seeing probably, hopefully, when things go back to normality, I think, sort of like when you go to trade days and stuff at your builders, merchants, or your suppliers, where manufacturers or suppliers can come down, show you their products, give you an idea on how to install it. You get obviously free cup of tea, maybe a bacon sandwich. So take it. It's difficult when you're busy, but try and take that sort of hour or so out to go and do those things. And I think suppliers are starting to understand that that's quite important. So probably more reps and stuff going out on the road when things go back to normal, hopefully. Because you can't really, with Zoom calls and stuff, we get a lot of reps and stuff talking to us on Zoom calls or phone calls or WhatsApp, but because they can't obviously come to site. So hopefully when things go back to normal, the reps and whatnot can get back out.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Thank you, Rob and Curtis, for joining us to talk all about landscaping trends.